Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Welcome to another episode of In the Folk. I hope everybody's had a fantastic weekend. And hey, Mike, thanks for popping in.
Hey, Mike.
We got Tully back. He's back from his adventures in the Serengeti. How's your all's week been?
It has been a long week.
It has felt very long.
I only worked 3 days because I took 2 days vacation to go to the opening of Spirit Halloween. And it was completely worth it. We got some new decor and everything. It's fun.
It's vacation worthy.
Yeah.
Mike, I have no idea how the new platform's going to work. So I'm just saying, cross your fingers, shoot up a little prayer, and we'll hope for the best.
Oh, yeah. Weird Awakenings is going to be using a new platform that's not denied.
We all know how awesome everything goes when a brand new platform's introduced.
That's right.
Yeah. It has been. What are we discussing tonight on Awakenings?
We are discussing Strange Delaware.
Delaware.
Fun fact, I did not realize until researching for this that the Dover Demon has nothing to do with Dover, Delaware, and everything to do with Dover, Massachusetts. Who knew?
Well, you got what are they, the pooch weenies or whatever? Delaware. The putcha weenie or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Hey, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
So, let's go ahead and just get right into it. So,
Yes,
I have a story that wasn't included on Tully's little list here. Police are investigating a kidnapping scare in Adelaide, I'm assuming Australia. And it happened on a public bus. So in Adelaide, a mother raised alarm on a public bus this morning. And this happened this morning, by the way, at 8:40 a.m. while it headed down Bridge Road in Gulfview Heights. The driver quickly made radio contact with a bus depot, reporting back claims that a man had tried to snatch a baby. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mike.
Definitely. So sorry, Mike.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's horrible, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Fair Invader got on the bus, is what they said, and he went to grab the lady's baby out of the stroller. She came up to the bus driver, said that she came up to him and said, "You got to get this guy off the bus. He's not good. He's tried to grab my baby out of the stroller and trying to breastfeed my baby."
Oh.
So this person had like bad problems.
Yeah, so this guy got on the bus and tried to snatch a baby and breastfeed it.
That is terrible. That it puts the lotion on its skin is coming to mind.
Yeah, that's bad. You know,
It's-
they wouldn't. Okay, and this is just me speaking as a mother and as myself. I would never have asked the driver to stop the bus to let him out. I would have helped him out while the bus was still moving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me, you know. So she showed constraint. Good job.
Well, the good news is he got away. So they're still looking for him as of the breaking of this story.
Wow.
That's terrible.
Sees him in Australia. If any of the 6 people are down there, go ahead and report that to Crime Stoppers.
Wow.
Well, I had a pretty good weekly funny that I can throw out there to get us off of crazy story mode.
Yeah.
Dude, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's rough. Can you imagine some dude snatching your baby up and trying to breastfeed it? Like,
Yeah, no. I was a little offended that on what Meet the Parents, I think it was, or was it Meet? It was one of the ones, and he had the strap-on boob to feed his grandson. And I'm like, wow, that's mm-mm. Nope. Yes, he would have, Mike. Exactly. If he didn't go out the window.
Yeah.
So for this week's funny, the headline was that chicken wings advertised as boneless wings can have bones. That was a ruling made by the Ohio Supreme Court this week. And the backstory is that consumers cannot expect boneless wings to actually be free of bones, says the Ohio Supreme Court. They rejected claims by a restaurant patron who suffered serious medical complications from getting a bone stuck in his throat from eating chicken nuggets. This happened at a wing spot in Hamilton, Ohio, when he got some garlic parm boneless wings, and he was feeling feverish, unable to keep food down. A few days later, he goes to the emergency room, and doctors discovered a huge bone that had gotten, or it wasn't lodged. It just tore his esophagus and caused infection. The restaurant's called Wings on Brookwood. And I guess he's saying that they failed to warn that boneless wings, which are, of course, chicken nuggets, could contain bones. The suit also named the supplier and the farm that produced it negligent. Now, I don't know how you sue a farm over a chicken having bones.
Right, because as far as I remember, they're necessary.
Right. Yeah. So all I'm thinking is maybe Big Bird must have paid the court off in this case because he lost.
Yeah. Well, boneless wings are not necessary, that it has nothing to do with a wing. It's chunks of chicken breast that are cut up into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's so stupid.
Okay.
Okay.
To not even know that it had a bone in it, though?
Yeah.
Are you not chewing? Like, what I mean?
Right. See, my mom and dad, Daddy used to fish when we were growing up. And we were taught that even though they were fillets, you chew carefully to make sure they didn't miss a bone.
I think everybody's missing the big, horrific thing of this whole thing. He got garlic parmesan. Who the hell does that?
Okay, you have a damn good point there. Good point there.
What kind of psychopath
I make a sriracha plum that's phenomenal.
Oh, speaking of wings, Cecil, the wing sauce at Popeyes, that is the new hottest sauce they have.
Yeah.
They've just called it Signature Hot, and it's hotter than the ghost pepper one.
Well, I like the dry ones, which are the ghost pepper ones. I've had the Signature Hot. I like the ghost pepper, so that's an endorsement for Popeyes right there.
we love Popeyes. They do not sponsor this show, however.
They do have the best chicken.
They do.
So I put this one down, weekly not funny, and Cecil's gonna have to show the video for this. So a whale has been capsizing boats off the New Hampshire coast. And I'll let Cecil share the video.
I didn't know I'd be screen sharing tonight, so I didn't have it already up.
Yeah, there's one more below that I want you to pull up later, I think.
With sound or without? I think sound needs to be heard.
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
All right, so as you can see, there's a big old whale right there.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nothing
Really
scary
look
about that.
pissed.
Nothing scary about that.
Yeah, imagine just being like just chilling on your boat and that happens.
Yeah.
Was that extremely loud to you all too? That about blew
Yes.
my ear out.
Um,
So
Well,
do
the
they have
other-
any idea what's possibly?
no, they just they said that two fishermen were there on the boat when that happened. The Coast Guard came and they said that basically the only thing that they said were that the two men that were thrown overboard said they had seen the well earlier and they were trying to keep their distance. So it must just be, maybe that time of season where they're a little bit more aggressive toward objects.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know because sometimes you wonder too. Yeah, it does look like a toy in a bathtub. If there aren't babies, in the area. 'Cause I know that can be protective.
We might have talked about this last week a little bit, but there were some wells in like Italy or somewhere, like in the ocean, that were like pulling propellers off boats and stuff just for fun. It's like the wells have gotten pissed off and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and mess around with you all now."
Well, it's all those years we kept them at SeaWorld and stuff. Now they're all
Yep.
free and it's time for them to get a little payback.
That's what it
The
is.
message got relayed.
Yes, that sonar they use.
The only other thing that I wanted to follow up on from last week, I know you guys talked about the drones that are going to be utilized here pretty soon. So I got a video that shows a real life example of these drones being deployed, and it is terrifying.
Let's check her out.
Okay, so this is one of the craziest videos I've ever seen of a drone hitting a tank before. So it appears to get hit from the side first.
Oh,
Look at how high that turret went.
That's a tank.
Unreal. I've been seeing a lot more and more of these like enclosures around that they build around the tank to kind of protect them from drones, which it looked like it protected it from the side from the drone that hit it from the side, but then there was this one that came in, looks like straight from the front, because you can see the main cannon right there, and it just impacted right in the front of the vehicle. The craziest part about this whole thing is that is the turret, I believe, because you can see that, like the cannon. Look how high up it flew in the air.
I really want one of those. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, I'm just like, imagine thousands or even millions of those flying into like a city,
Yeah.
like with targets, like specific targets. That to me, we've always said this is way more effective than a nuclear bomb because you can still use the land afterwards.
Yeah. And I probably shouldn't give out ideas or anything, but if they ever get it in their head and can target it the correct way, that would be one hell of a way to pinpoint biologicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's terrifying.
Yep.
Like you saw how big that explosion was, and that was a propeller drone. It wasn't like one of the big, huge drones like the Predator drones.
Right.
And you saw the one that hit it from the side. That was a pretty small drone compared to the tank.
Yeah. Wow.
They got some crazy stuff that they're coming out with. I mean, it's all going to be like where warfare is essentially fought with just robots anyway, which I kind of think would be the best way to do it at this point in a way. But then they're always going to have huge explosions too. So I don't know. The ones where the cops and the bounty hunters are like going to use, like you weren't here last week, but totally, have you seen where bounty hunters are using those little drones to go in people's houses when they won't let them in?
No.
Yeah, they're like what they do is they get them like just to get enough room to get that drone in the house so they can search for the person they're looking for.
Is that not illegal?
That's
No.
what. Oh, wow. I would think that would be at the very least trespassing.
You would think, but no, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of loophole because I watched one video where this guy wouldn't let them in, and they's like, get the drone ready, we're going to get over his shoulder, and, you know, things like that. But he never opened the door far enough for him to get in.
Well, see, I know that like if you shoot a drone, they will arrest you. You know, if the person that, you know, had it, because I know there was a case a few years ago when they first started getting real popular where this, you know, weirdo in a neighborhood was going over like in backyards with teenagers in swimming pools and stuff and just like hovering, watching these girls. And one of the parents shot it out of the sky, and then the police showed up a couple of hours later. And, you know, it became a big thing because, you know, you're not allowed to shoot that. It's an FCC violation or something.
Well, maybe he was just a pool enthusiast or something.
Sure. I buy that. Of course I do.
You'd almost have to like pitch it on a fire or something because GPS trackers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was something last week, and now for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was, but they were talking about Boeing again. Shoot.
Well, that's interesting, Mike. I just saw your comment there. I thought it was a relatively new thing, I guess, but I guess it makes sense for spec ops teams and Secret Service and stuff like that to have drones. I do know that the National Guard thing just happened, like them talking about giving every National Guard person a drone.
And aren't they talking about doing that also in like Colorado or something on a state level?
Yeah. That was that's actually on our list.
Okay.
So the story there is that the Colorado police plan to use drones as first responders, calling the technology the future of law enforcement. And I think, you know, as they reduce numbers of the police, they have like less, you know, man coverage. So they're talking about using drones as actual first responders to evaluate scenarios for 911 calls.
Can I comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe they will have less unnecessary shootings.
True.
You know, because all those incidences where, oh yeah, well, we can't find the gun. It sure looked like he had one. You know,
this says missing people would be a very good one. Tracking fleeing suspects, mapping crime scenes, overhead surveillance during SWAT operations. But the sheriff's office is considering using them to respond to 911 calls in situations where drones not be able to provide useful information from the location of an incident before officers are deployed. So now that might not be a good thing, though.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's dying, you know, like if the drone has to evaluate whether you're in critical injury to request police resources, that could be the difference between somebody living and dying.
Yeah.
Or not just police, but it's 911 resources is what I'm trying to say. Ambulance, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. Like I said, I mean, I can definitely see where drone technology could be good for certain scenarios, but again, you know, if anybody can figure out a way to make it something not so good, humanity can.
Yeah, and RoboCop is is exactly what comes to mind. Like, there was a movie fairly recently. I forget which movie it was, but the drones were actually armed with guns too, and the drone operator could make decisions on whether to engage suspects or not.
Yeah, I watched something on Netflix not too long ago, and it was they had sent in a drone because this guy had like abilities or something, and when it got a certain command, it would flip its camera off and kill them, and then flip it back on, so that it looked like it wasn't the drone pilot doing
Yeah.
it.
As soon as you start arming drones, though, you also have to think about cyber warfare.
Mhm.
Like if you've got drones with the ability to blow up tanks and somebody hacks into those drones, what are you going to do?
That's right. Hold your ass.
Yeah.
That's what was it? Somebody posted a meme a couple of days ago. It was like, parents today get a message first thing in the morning. It's windy today. Our teachers told us get out in the hallway with a book over your head.
Yeah.
So start getting those books back ready.
Well, and think about some of the other stories from like the past month that we've been covering.
Mm-hmm.
So if you how they've been wargaming AI to make decisions better than humans on when to engage targets.
Yeah.
If they've got control of actual ordnance and they're making the AI is making ethical decisions based on what it thinks is the most effective way to do stuff, I think you could potentially have a lot of like casualties, like ally casualties, because it makes a judgment that that's the most effective way to take out enemies.
Right.
Is to include allies in the fire. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's what is it? Shit. What's the word? Collateral damage.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of look at AI making its own decisions the same way I do them bringing back dinosaurs and stuff. I've seen the movies. I don't think there is a good scenario.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree completely.
Yep.
Clarence,
Yeah.
what do you got?
This one's kind of weird. I didn't hear about this. I'm glad you put this on here. The U.S. has reached a plea deal with alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Shaki Muhammad and two other defendants accused of plotting the 2001 terror attacks, according to the Defense Department. This is I thought they got everybody on this, but
I think they've been in Guantanamo.
well, the agreement was reached after 27 months of negotiation, which takes the death penalty off the table for Muhammad Walid bin Atash and Mustafa al-Halasawi. Probably mispronounced that, but the prosecutor said in a letter sent to the families of the 9/11 victims and survivors shortly before the Department of Defense announced it to the news and the press that they were no longer seeking the death penalty. This has been 23 years. Okay.
Hey, y'all.
After beginning negotiations in March of 2022, the three men agreed to plead guilty to all charges, including the murder of 2,976 people listed in the charging sheet. Muhammad and his co-defendants will enter guilty pleas at the plea hearing that could come as early as next week, according to the letter. So they're saying this is a statement made, but we recognize the status of the case in general, and the news in particular will understandably and appropriately elicit intense emotion. And we realize that the decision to enter into a pretrial agreement will be met with mixed reactions amongst the thousands of family members who lost loved ones. This is what the prosecutor wrote to everybody. The decision to enter into a pretrial agreement after 12 years of pretrial litigation was not however,
just 12 years, huh?
However, it is our collective reason and good faith judgment that the resolution is the best path to finality and justice in the case. The plea agreement avoids what would have been a long and complicated death penalty trial against Muhammad. Long and complicated? 23 years. This is the least bad deal in the real world that has ever happened. said Peter Bergen, a terrorism expert and CNN national security analyst who has written extensively about Osama bin Laden. The government faced a difficult challenge of advancing the case that stalled over the course of 2 decades since Muhammad's capture in Pakistan in 2003. Also, it's only been 21 years. For his alleged involvement in the terror attacks. What the hell? Why so long?
I don't know, dude. Think about this. Think about how many people in like 2004, 2005 that they rounded up. Like, you remember the deck of cards? They just rounded them up and beat the shit out of them. You know what I mean? Like, took them. They would take these people to black sites and literally like waterboard them. That came up in trials since then.
Yeah, that's
So why wouldn't they just include these people in the deck of cards? You know what I mean? Like, why is it taking 20 years?
Dude, I don't fully understand why. Okay, this is, some people's not going to like this, but why are they still alive? I mean, we've taken out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we were killing indiscriminately in 2004.
yeah.
And the thing about it,
Men, women, children, war crimes, you name it. And these people have just been chilling for 20 years.
They plotted to kill nearly 3,000 people. Might as well, probably more than 3,000 after the suicides and things that came from people losing family members and stuff. This is crazy to me. This is
long-term deaths, like cancers associated with all the dust.
Yeah, the New York Fire Department, the New York Police Department, every one of them are decimated by things.
It's probably tens of thousands of people.
Well, and just, you have to also throw in things like the Gulf Wars, the people killed there, because that all stemmed directly from, that was the excuse that, they needed to get in there and look for those weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. So that's also on them.
Well, and before 9/11 even happened, I forget the dude's name, but the United States had a person assigned to make sure that there wasn't any weapons of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there for like 4 years. And what happened is that Iraq had already destroyed their weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. And that was their alibi. They're like, we buried them after we destroyed them. And the United States was like, oh, well, we're going to have to go dig up the serial numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what they did for years and years. And it came down to like the last couple, and they couldn't find one of the serial numbers. And then this happens, and then all hell breaks loose.
Well,
but I guess at the end of the day, you're talking about like a trial when innocent people didn't get a trial. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of innocent people that were just completely took out indiscriminately because of the hatred around this event. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay? I can only hope that they meet with Bob once a day, every day, at least once a day, every day. Big Bob.
Yeah. I just don't know. Like, I don't necessarily think that. I mean, these people could be patsies. Like they could have nothing to do with it, and just to show people that there's a boogeyman. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I had a prior manager. He was telling me about something he was listening to on the way in. Some teenage boy had sexually assaulted an elderly woman, and he's like, I don't understand how somebody can think that way. And I'm like, well, that's exactly why I still believe that the death penalty is necessary. And he stops and he looks, oh my God, my little liberal is okay with the death penalty. I'm like, I keep telling y'all, I'm neither nor. I'm perfectly middle of the road in a perfect world.
Mm-hmm.
I have conservative values and I have liberal values.
It's the bar that's moved.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Because I see, good on both sides of it. I mean, because I'm a firm believer in, being able to have guns, but I also don't have a problem with a background check, because if I'm not hiding anything, But I don't think there should be a death row. I think if they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you did something, take their ass out there and pull out whatever you need to.
Well, I
and
think
deal with it.
that's like a private prisons, like that is for sure cooking the tax dollars. Like you're sitting on death row for 15 years.
Right. And that's stupid.
It is stupid. And I don't know. I've always thought too, there was so much shady stuff around how they handled bin Laden, like how they dumped his body at sea and nobody could see it. That has always struck me, and the fact that he worked for the Alphabet company.
Yeah.
That all just screams shady to me.
But, like I said, there are some people, once upon a time, I was
Steven.
I was an idealist, and I didn't think I was better than any other human being. And as I've matured and gotten older, that is complete and total bullshit. There are people I'm better than.
I'm better than a lot.
I mean, that's not arrogance. That's reality. There are people that do not deserve to draw in the oxygen that it's taking away from other people. And there are some things, we've talked about that, there are some things there's no cure for. So why are we allowing them to breathe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Steven sent me something actually that I wanted to hit on. So you guys remember a few weeks ago how St. Louis had the disaster mock training?
Yeah.
For the the mock-up military disaster or whatever. So now the U.S. military is set to land C-130 planes in Debano, Arkansas for disaster and emergency training. And they're popping up an airport in the middle of a northeast Arkansas highway to do it. To land C-130s in the interstate is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And it's here's what the sheriff is saying. He says, because of our area, how many tornadoes we get and how many natural disasters and the New Madrid fault line, that everything stacks up to where we could have a major natural disaster coming. Yeah. So you got St. Louis talking about the fault line. Now you've got Northeast Arkansas talking about the fault line. Air Force is going to be landing C-130s on the interstate. I don't know. When did they predict that this was going to happen? September, October?
Yeah. I might be naive in this, but if a big earthquake happens, can I just walk outside and sit down and be all right? Like, I don't know. Like, I live out in the country.
I mean, if it's big enough, like it'll literally split the earth, like volcano style.
Well, I did read recently that they said that we got a big one like every 400 to 500 years on the New Madrid. And the last one was in the early 1800s. So they shouldn't have a massive one for a few more centuries.
Yeah.
Well, there was the dude, though, that there was I forget the scenario. There's a guy that predicted a huge one. There was one guy that predicted it in the Carolinas, and there's another dude that predicted it in St. Louis. Like that it was going to hit St. Louis specifically this year. And it just strikes me as weird that all these places around there are like in that area of the U.S.
Right. Practicing.
Are wargaming it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's possible they've had some crazy readings. I mean, there's crazy readings all across the world right now when it comes to fault lines and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't realize that we get them regularly down in this part of the country, but they're so mild that you don't generally feel them. Because, when they were talking about it the last time in the late 90s about the New Madrid was going to, blow and everything. And so just doing research on it and everything, they showed this map and areas around here that have had earthquakes over the last, it was like a 2-week period. And I mean, it was all around me. And I'm like, how did I not know that? You know,
Right.
and everything. But I mean, you know, they're like 2.2 on the Richter or something like that. You know, if the train goes by, I probably get more vibration than I do from that.
Yeah.
So,
There was another one. So I don't know if you guys noticed the chimpanzees on the promo this week.
mhm.
The reason that they were on the promo is this bombshell news that came out this week. And this is another one of those things, like Cecil said at the 9/11 stuff, it's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So they came out this week and said that chimpanzees are now capable of human speech.
Yeah.
And they said that this remarkable video resurfaced. And so that basically, just to water all this down, they can teach chimps words for rewards, and they can say words and recall words for rewards, to the point where they would even say it preemptively to get their reward. And what blew my mind about this, we've always been taught that they can't speak, like that they just don't have, I don't know, the things needed to be able to speak like us.
Yeah.
And apparently this has been going on since the 60s. They've known that they could speak.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
mean-
not talking about signing; they're talking about vocal.
And,
Wow.
and I think the buzzword that they taught these ones in the 60s was mama,
Mhm.
and they would literally say mama to get food.
Wow.
You know, it really seems like they've taken every doomsday movie that's ever been created, and they're like, let's go ahead and make this shit happen. Like, you got the Planet of the Apes, so they're trying to teach them how to talk. Once you learn speech, you learn like better communication. You learn how to develop things. So there that goes. And then robots, fucking artificial intelligence everywhere now. Like, you can, every browser you have now has artificial intelligence attached to it.
Social media.
Yep.
Scary. It's insane.
Even my graphics programs now, they're built in.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you. I mean, everybody knows what a PDF is, but Acrobat is Adobe's version of that program that reads them. But if you have the pro version, you can also go in and do edits and stuff like that, and it's got a built-in AI now. I have not touched it because I wouldn't even know what to use it for in that scenario. But
they've got it in our Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams.
Well, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's so crazy to me on Word now? If you wanted to write a book, you just got to talk. Like it transcribes now.
Mm-hmm.
I seen that the other day. I was like, "What the hell?" It's
could have used that in high school.
Yeah. I started to use that on Google. Has it also, that talk to, AI talk to speech or talk to text, and I started to use it because I had like this huge stack of like manuals and stuff for a customer that needed them. Actually, what they had were old scans, and I'm like, I'm going to be typing for a week trying to type all this stuff in, and I decided just to try scanning them and running OCR. And I used OCR for a lot of stuff many years ago. And if you're not familiar with it, it's optical character recognition. You scan something in and it'll go through and see what it can read. I took all of these booklets, and what should have taken me about 12 to 14 hours of typing and formatting took me about 6. Just by they've come that far with OCR, because back 100 years ago, one of the local churches, they had a bunch of, or their archives and history department had a bunch of old books that were written by the circuit pastors, that used to go from town to town and preach from the early 1800s to the late 1800s. And they wanted them transcribed to computer and everything. And we did OCR back then, but you spent a ton of time just correcting in some cases, depending on how bad the letterpress that it was printed on was, it was just quicker to type it. So
Yeah,
I was very
how-
impressed.
That's how Mike says he reads his books and
Dictating,
stuff.
yeah, that's cool. That's come a long way too.
But
Um,
before we end, I want to cover this one story that Tully has on here about Venus.
Oh, I got to cover. I have to cover another story before we jump off. There's one on here that can only be covered this week.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do it. We can cover this later.
So there are vegetables and herbs at Walmart, Aldi, and Kroger that are being recalled due to listeria concerns.
Don't forget about the millions of pounds of deli meat too.
Yeah, tons of deli meat too. And so this affects all kinds. I don't even go through the whole list because it's like 30 or 40 different vegetables. I would say go look this up. If you shop at Walmart, Aldi, or Kroger, just put in listeria recall list. Even though it isn't all that dangerous to healthy people, it can be fatal to infants, elderly, and immunocompromised people. So far, the states they say are affected are Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. So there's possible listeria contamination in all these vegetables, and like Cecil said, a ton of deli meat. I think it was boar's head.
Yeah.
The brand.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say because I don't see a lot of boar's head in my groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that made for the record, and unless it really truly is the zombie apocalypse and that's the only food available, I will never put it in my mouth. Because when you see them make it, it just takes on a whole new meaning.
Oh, yeah. It's just a big pot of boiling stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is they were doing the slaughtering outside, so they were bringing things in a part at a time. So they bring in like this big liver, and she's doing her thing. And then they bring in the brain, and then they bring in the entire what's left of the head, and she's cutting and chopping, and I'm like, oh God, that's so disgusting.
Yeah.
If you like it, it's not personal or anything, but not me.
I guess we'll probably be doing a long form show later in the month.
Yeah.
We just got to we're figuring some stuff out.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a true crime episode. So
all right,
get your stuff gathered for that. That might be what we end up doing. I don't know yet.
Or we may have a guest. I don't know.
You have a guess.
It really just depends. If I meet somebody interesting tomorrow, I'll try to snag them for an interview or something.
cool.
Yeah.
And we have Weird Awakenings coming up in 15 minutes on the Weird Realities Network. You can go to Weird Realities on Facebook or YouTube to comment with us. We're going to be talking about Strange Delaware.
Yes.
Creepy Delaware.
And if you don't see anything on Facebook, Mike, hop on over to YouTube.
Yeah. It's new software tonight, so it may be a little rocky kicking off. But if you're out there listening and you're interested in what's going on in the world and weird stuff, follow us wherever you're listening right now, and follow Weird Realities. And we've got a link if you want to. It's over here or here. If you want to donate $2 or $5 or whatever it is and buy us a coffee, that money goes straight back into the show. We're just putting it in for the software that we're using right now to talk to you, pretty much.
I need some Botox injections.
Out of all the things, this is our Popeyes fund.
Okay, my health insurance will cover Botox for me because I get chronic migraines, and I refuse because.
Sorry.
Oh, it didn't make it to Facebook last night. Yeah. No, it's botulism. It's literally the same thing that causes food spoilage. Why the hell would I stick that in my face?
Have
You
you
get
seen
pretty
where so they've done scans on people who so you know how like you inject your or it's the Botox and filler, I think. They say it goes away, like dissolves after so long.
Right.
They did scans on people where it had dissolved, and it is shifting into different parts of their face and causing what they're calling balloon face over time.
Oh wow. Ew.
And I forget who it was. It was a celebrity where they had showed her over like 15 years of doing filler and Botox, and it really has like shifted her whole kind of facial features.
Well, you know, people that do that after a while. I mean, look at what's her name? Not Versace, Donatello. Crap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even look like a real human anymore.
No, it's horrible. And you know, it's just progressively gotten worse. So it's got to be all that filler and stuff.
They all look like Ron Perlman in Beauty and the Beast series that used to come on back in the day.
And I love me some Ron Perlman, but that is not a beautiful man. So, yes, Mike, you are Weird Patron 101. And just for the record, I have got bookmarks and stuff I've got to get to you all. I have just had absolutely zero time this last week or so. So I promise you it is coming.
Yeah, this isn't that. This is just if you want to buy us Popeyes or the program, the program that we're using, Botox for Cecil.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to win the Mega Millions tonight, and I will buy your Botox, Cecil.
Fuck yeah. Thank you all for watching us, because we are watching you.
Bye.
Peace. Bye.